Hi guys, how you doing? This is Rich from Rich TV Live, and I have some breaking news. It's not really news that I like to break, but this is not something that surprises me. I was the first to say that this was going to happen. You are watching Rich from Rich TV Live, and I was the first to predict that the coronavirus would be a very serious global pandemic. I was the very first that said that people won't take this serious until it spreads all over the world and it'll be too late. I was the first to say that they were giving us time to prepare and we had a window of opportunity before it gets here, but it's here. Officially today, a woman in her 50s passed away in America, in Washington. The first death in America. This is breaking news. Donald Trump has already spoken about this. This is news that is now circulating everywhere all over the world. The first death in America of the coronavirus, considered a high-risk person by Donald Trump. A woman in her 50s, her late 50s, considered high risk. How many people in America are in their late 50s? So I did predict before there was any deaths or even any cases in Canada and the United States that we would have not only cases in Canada and the United States, but we would have deaths. We now have the first death in America. When are people going to take this seriously? Are you taking this seriously now that we have a death in America? Or is this, like Mr. Trump says, a high risk case? What do you guys think? What's your opinion? Five Finger Limited, what's up? Jose Rodriguez says, hello, Rich. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, my friend. Fuad Halal, thank you for being a member of the team, my friend. Thank you for being a member of the team, of the squad. Fuad says, like done. Thank you for smashing that like, guys. Smash the like when you enter this room. This is the Rich TV Live Nation right here, guys. Smash that like button. Thank you, guys. It allows this video to get more circulated so other people can see the breaking news that now there is one person dead in America from the coronavirus. What do you guys think about this? I did predict this before anybody else on the planet. And I predicted there will be deaths in Canada too. And I don't think it'll just be one. And I don't want to predict this. I'm not trying to be a fear monger. Everyone was calling me a fear monger a month ago. Was I a fear monger or was I correct? I just like to know the difference. Am I a fear monger or am I actually correct? Because I predicted every single one of these events before it even happened. So people have been talking about me panicking for cases. And I remember saying then that it would come all over the world. It would hit 100 countries. And we would have deaths in Canada and the United States. I don't know. Let's see how many countries we're in now. What do you guys think? Last time I looked, it was 58 countries. This thing is spreading really fast. Really, really, really fast. Every country in the world is going to have to learn about coronavirus prevention. 86,000 cases worldwide, 2,942 deaths, right? Almost 3,000 deaths worldwide, 39,801 recovered. It is now in 62 countries and one ship, Diamond Princess. It is spreading like wildfire in South Korea. It is spreading like crazy in Italy and in Iran. 433 new cases in China, 813 in South Korea. Wow. 139 in Italy, 205 in Iran overnight. 43 new cases in France overnight. Wow. All of a sudden, 17 new cases in Spain overnight. This is happening everywhere, guys. 9 cases in Norway overnight. 5 cases in Iraq overnight. Wow. Big. 62 countries. starting to get into Nigeria, Qatar, New Zealand, Nepal, Morocco, North Macedonia, Lithuania, Iceland, Estonia, Egypt, Ecuador, Cambodia, Brazil, Belgium, Belarus, Algeria, Afghanistan, Russia, Romania, Mexico, India, Georgia, Finland, Denmark, Philippines, Pakistan, Greece, Oman, Netherlands, Croatia, Lebanon, Israel, Austria, Macau, Sweden, Iraq, Norway, Vietnam, Canada. Canada's apparently got 16 cases, one new one overnight, 13 active cases, and 3 recovered. This is a very, very scary time for humanity. May all of those that have passed away rest in peace. Pray we find a cure, a vaccine, something that can either slow this or prevent this or cure this completely. We need a solution. The world needs a solution to the coronavirus. I didn't want to be right about this stuff. Fuad says, God, you was right. Hey man, I didn't want to be right about this, right? But I could see the future with this thing, unfortunately. Fuad says RTTR. Thanks, Rich. Hey, man. We've been talking about RTTR since it was at 20 cents. So I should have done more videos. There's just so many companies and things have changed so fast. Cannabis stocks were hot, then cannabis got cold, then gold got hot, and gold now is kind of slowing down. Now coronavirus stocks are hot. Market's been hot nonstop for years. All of a sudden, market just gets cold because of the coronavirus. Coronavirus stocks explode. I mean, these markets are nuts. These are not normal markets. These are not normal times. Never in my life have I ever seen China shut down, lock down 60 million people. Jason says people are still not taking it seriously. They keep saying only the elderly are dying. Do you believe that though? Fuad Halal says the world will collapse. Did you guys see that soccer matches are being canceled now because soccer players have been getting the coronavirus? Did you guys see that? Did you see that news? Soccer players, athletes, anybody can get this, folks. This is very, 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 very serious, and we need to start educating ourselves. That's why you guys need to smash the like button so people can start really understanding what is happening here and how everybody in the world is at risk. Now, what Trump did say today after addressing the first death in America was that people that are healthy are not at risk. That's concerning. So anybody that's not healthy is at risk. That's what he said. People that are healthy are not at risk. So you need to have a strong immune system. Build up your immune system. Steven says, you're corrected for sure. Rich was and always is first. There you go, brother. Let's go. Fuad says, major focus on the future. Be safe than sorry. Yo, Reefer Out Joint. What's up, bro? Check this out. What's up, Reefer?
Hello. What's going on, YouTube?
So
how you been, bro?
I've been I've been okay, up and down. Life has its ups and downs, but I mean, I've been good in some ways, and obviously we're not great in some ways. And one of the ways that we're not so great is obviously there has been the first death in America from the coronavirus. I'm not surprised. I did predict that this would happen, so I'm not surprised, to be honest with you. Are you surprised?
Oh, of course not.
Okay. So we start from there. So you're not surprised this has happened. I'm not surprised this has happened. So what's going on here? Mr. Trump just went public and said people that are healthy are fine and will be okay. But the people that are unhealthy are essentially at risk. And then he also said that the lady that died was a high risk, great lady, but high risk in her late 50s.
Well, listen, Richie. Listen, I'd like to say thank you for keeping this the lively tempo on the show. Thank you for being on point first all the time. All the time. I mean, this doesn't seem like it's a money issue, but it really, really is. Trump and his comments. You're gonna make me laugh. You know, I hear Trump and I laugh. I don't know how to interpret him. As for people that are sick, like myself, you know, I'm sick.
Yes.
My platelet count was 2,000 about 5 or 6 days ago, and which put me in a compromised immune position. So I jokingly say that I don't go to the mall where the kids play, and I call it a petri dish. I'm serious, because I'm that guy. That's me. Hi, America. Hi. Oh, hello, world. I'm the guy with the compromised immune system, and I'm not worried, Rich. You know, you and I have the great fortune, and so do the rest of our viewers, to have great indoor plumbing. We've got Lysol. We've got the ones that are in the most jeopardy are the ones that don't have sanitation, that don't have the infrastructure. So mostly third world countries. I'm more concerned about Brazil. Brazil got their first case just a few days ago, and we know that the waters all throughout the region are just toxically polluted with human waste. So regions like that, I'm scared for them. Here in the United States, I'm not scared, simply because, you know, like in Canada, man, you order a pizza, you know, you don't feel good, order a chicken soup. But the impact globally on our investments, like you've been telling everybody that views, and nobody wants to hear it. Even Kramer is saying it. You know, let's wait till March, see how supply is and flow with goods coming into the United States. And we'll see whether or not China can produce the next batch of goods. Because although there's tons of merchandise on cargo ships all across the waters that have been waiting to reach shores, what happens once those hit the shores? Because countries like China are not producing. India, for example, is in the middle of kind of a race conflict. The Hindu and Muslim conflict, they're fighting, they're killing each other. So there's discord in India. The reason why I speak of India is because India produces, and they produce very cheaply. But if they don't have their act together, then, for example, chip makers need to go to, say, Thailand, or they need to go to Singapore. And that's how the global impact, being that coronavirus is already in that region. So as far as fear, I'm going to get sick. I'm already sick. And as far as people like getting sick with this virus, they'll be fine in the United States. I believe that the CDC does an amazing job. We have not reached pandemic level of 50 million infected yet. But I do caution what the impact on agriculture. When you have that many people sick, they're not farming, they're not producing food. Like our investments, how I put money in last year in precious metals, and I've done well. I planted a seed and it grew. China is not producing goods, so they're not planting seeds after this massive shipment of goods that come into the world markets. That they're easing an additional $80 billion in treasuries and tax bonds treasury bonds coming in, compliments of the federal government. And should there be a national emergency, Trump can always declare something and throw in another couple of $100 billion into the economy. Do I think it's good long term? No. Coronavirus today, big problem. In our future, definitely.
Well, thank you for your feedback. You know, it's an interesting thing, because Donald Trump, you know, he's under a lot of pressure. You know, this is a very, very serious situation.
Trump feeds under pressure, and he does well under
this is,
pressure.
but this
So
is,
just
I
let him
think,
do his thing.
but I think this is something different. I don't think he did very well.
course.
I don't think he did very well in his last speech. He kind of trying
And
to,
you're Canadian.
well, I mean, he's trying to downplay this as if, only the sick, will suffer from this and the strong will survive. Kind of like, that's kind of the conversation he just had. And I was just like, whoa, I was taken back by it. I was kind of shocked that he would say that.
I was shocked too. I love history. You know my conversation pieces. I come out of the woodworks with stuff that people are Googling everything I'm saying, and y'all need to stop doing it because I'm not going to say something. The news. I watch the news 24 hours a day. I can tell you, I read the Washington, the Financial Times, the Washington Post, the New York Times. I read those daily papers every single day for 15 years. And I also experienced I experienced the gold issues, the oil catastrophe in the 70s, the recessions. I've the 2004 decline, the 98. I mean, we've got so many recessions. They're supposed to come every 12 years, but this quantitative easing has kind of stopped it. And with the coronavirus, not enough goods being produced for such as India who can meet those demands. But there's too much, there's infighting, there's conflict. They're talking about taking away citizenship of Muslims in a country that they got a lot of people in that country. And if they're busy beating each other up, they're not making money. So who do we have? Who do we have with such a massive, massive population? All right, I'm going to order some chicken soup. Jump on my phone, find an app, find somebody's little service. I don't even have to leave my house. I can order Clorox. I can order Lysol. I mean, if I get sick, I can jump on my phone and interact with my physician and get a prescription sent to me Federal Express the next day. So here in the United States, we'll be fine. You'll be fine. But it's these countries, it's Haiti. Haiti will be screwed. Dominican Republic will get slaughtered. Puerto Rico will be decimated. And those are the closest, poorest regions to the United States. Coronavirus doesn't care about race. It's Brazil, Mexico.
Some soccer players now, they've canceled soccer games in Italy because there's an outbreak in Italy and it's getting bad. Like soccer players have it. A 22-year-old soccer player got it. So you want to talk about healthy people. It's as healthy as it gets when you're a 22-year-old soccer player. So, I think anybody can get this. Everybody's at risk. We have to be careful. The question is, how will you be able to fight it off if you get it? And Trump is trying to essentially say that if you're healthy, you'll be fine. That's kind of scary for anybody that's sick. Anybody, you know what I mean? Like to put that out there.
What did he say? He decides, I'm going to put someone in charge of the coronavirus, a corona czar. It didn't sound right. They even
hold on. Let's listen to it. Let's listen to it. I'm going to play it. Let's listen to it so we know exactly what he says. Hold on. 1 second. Here. Listen.
On our action, I want to provide an update to our people, to our citizens, to the world, frankly, on our action to address the coronavirus and those that have been hurt badly by it. At this moment, we have 22 patients in the United States currently that have coronavirus. Unfortunately, one person passed away overnight. She was a wonderful woman, a medically high-risk patient in her late 50s. 4 others are very ill. Thankfully, 15 are either recovered fully or they're well on their way to recovery. And in all cases, they've been let go in their home. Additional cases in the United States are likely, but healthy individuals should be able to fully recover. And I think that will be a statement that we can make with great surety now that we've gotten familiar with this problem. They should be able to recover should they contract the virus. So healthy people, if you're healthy, you will probably go through a process and you'll be fine.
If you're healthy, you'll be fine.
Since the early stages of the foreign outbreak, my administration has taken the most aggressive action in modern history to confront the spread of this disease. We moved very early. That was one of the decisions we made that really turned out to be a lifesaver in a sense, big lifesaver. On January 31st, I imposed travel restrictions on foreign nations and anybody that had been to China, or people coming out of China. And I want to say that China seems to be making tremendous progress. Their numbers are way down.
Their numbers are way down.
If you read Tim Cook of Apple said that they're now in full operation again in China. The numbers are way down.
Full operation in China.
Experts now agree that
all jokes aside, you know, rest in peace to all of those that are going to pass. A lot of folks are going to get sick. But the president sounds like he's talking from bed like he's got the coronavirus.
Well, you know, it's funny because he's talking about how the lady that died, he called her high risk, and she's in her late 50s. That means how many people in America are over 50? So that's all high risk.
Then. Yo, dude, I'm screwed then. I'm screwed. I was in the cancer center 3 days this week. I went Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And I got to go back on Monday to a doctor appointment. I got to go back to the cancer center. I don't have cancer. I'm an oncology, I'm a hematology patient, but my immune system, coronavirus, me, I'm checking in the hospital. They're going to put me in quarantine instantly, simply because every time I go to the hospital, they put me in quarantine anyway, because I have a compromised immune system. So to hear the president say that, I just kind of look and say, look, you're the leader of this country. Console those who have gotten sick, the family. Console the family, the loved ones. He sounded like he was slurping up a malt liquor in his lazy boy in front of a flat screen. He doesn't exactly, to me. He did say she was a lovely woman, and you know, and all that stuff. But then he said, you know, his statement was that she was high risk in her late 50s, and I'm sitting here thinking, isn't Trump in his 70s? And then, you know,
so you're sitting here. You're sitting there. You're sitting there as the person leading the country, knowing that you're saying to the whole world that anybody that's in their 50s is high risk or older. So that's not going to create panic. And then he says anybody who's healthy, you're okay. That's what he said. And I'm like, isn't that like with every disease? Like, healthy people are always the ones that are going to, because you're healthy, you're stronger, you have a stronger immune system. You're most likely going to be able to fight off an illness better than someone who's weak, obviously.
If this thing reaches pandemic level, okay, you're good. You're in Canada. You're in fine. We're good here in the United States. Our Canadian healthcare is better than American. At least that's what Americans believe, that you guys have way better healthcare than us. I mean, I go to the cancer center. It's filled with Canadians talking about, damn, you guys got to go through down here. It's easier up there.
Oh yeah.
What I'm saying is, we'll be fine. China, if this goes to a pandemic level, I'm more concerned about what's going on with Russia. How are their numbers with the coronavirus? Because that place is jacked up.
Russia already closed their borders to China.
I mean, countries, we take, may I, as a slight introduction audience, as a barber, I was fortunate along to have serviced the greatest generation that ever lived, which is the World War II veterans. Amazing generation. I loved those men. They played a major role in my life and my growing up. But going back to the greatest generation and going and tying all of this together, that generation grew up without running water in their houses. That when they were children, if you had running water in your house, you were thought to be wealthy. Running water in your house, you were thought to be wealthy. Wealthy. 1950. That's not too long ago.
Things have changed
too
in
long
70
ago.
years, eh?
So countries that don't have sanitation, running water, regions that are cut off from supplies, medical supplies, those are going to be the most impact should this go to a level of pandemic. But remember, pandemic is 50 million infected. 50 million. We're nowhere near it. We're nowhere near it, Rich.
Well, we're in
Nowhere
60.
near
We're
it.
in 62 countries in 5 weeks. I've been reporting this for 5 weeks, and 5 weeks ago it was in China. Now it's in 62 countries. We have 86,000 reportedly infected, and we have so far just
Bill
under
Gates-
3,000 dead.
Bill Gates did a documentary of that market, and it was done on either Canadian broadcast or it was American PBS. And in that documentary, they showed and they said something's going to come out of this place, and it did. And it did. They were more worried about SARS. This was released in October. They've known about this for a long time. You know, the impact and what's going to happen in China. China is screwed. We give them soybeans. We sell them baby pigs. Okay? Then they fatten up the pigs with the soybeans that we sell them. All right? Then they sell us back those fattened pigs. What I'm getting at is, why can't they grow? They don't even have their act together enough to grow their own soybeans to make profit on that end. They're not producing food for their people. You have to be more concerned about the epidemics that can come from famine after all of these people being out of work. Tokyo giving $10,000 to each one of its citizens to try and boost up the economy? How many billion people are in China? What happens when they can't feed themselves?
1.4, 1.5 billion.
It's amazing, isn't it?
I've heard some people say that they believe the numbers are more like 1.5 million infected in China and 50,000 dead. This is what some people are trying to say.
Rich, everybody needs to listen and think about it. How many times in your life have you turned the news on? All right, fix that. Have you turned the news on after the winter where they still find elderly that froze to death because they didn't have heat? We're going to discover a lot of people. Come spring. And they're going to be from a host of complications of all kinds of disease to this corona thing. And most of them are just going to plain flatly freeze because they can't even afford to heat their own homes, because that's the reality of what the elderly truly live like in America. Every year they find them. They find the elderly frozen every single year because the elderly, in order to stay safe in bad neighborhoods, they put nails in their windows, and those nails are hard to take out sometimes. And so,
how do you think this is going to affect the market on Monday? There's some members saying that the 5-Finger Limited says the market goes down 1,000 points on Monday.
Oh, 5 fingers. That'll be nuts, man. Dude, imagine that'll reach 40. That'll take us to below 20, a 20% decline. We don't want to see that. Guys, pay attention to the time.
Well, we just had the first the first death in America. It's not going to be good for the markets.
Fine.
And the markets have been down 7 days. Markets have been down 7 days in a row. So I'm just.
How many kids are getting shot? How many kids are going to get shot in Chicago tonight, Rich? Is anybody crying over that?
No, hey, listen, I understand that. But what I'm trying to say is this is a disease that has gone from one country and now it's grown to 62 countries. There are outbreaks right now in Italy, Iran, South Korea, and China. And starting to have outbreaks. Outbreaks are starting to happen. Outbreaks are starting to happen all over the world. Like soccer games for professional clubs in Italy are being canceled.
Yeah.
Soccer players have received, I think already 4 or 5 soccer players.
Do you see the size of those stadiums? Massive.
Exactly.
100,000?
Exactly. So people are starting to, not just people, but like businesses, companies, soccer clubs, corporations are canceling events. Like this is very serious, and it's only going to get, it's going to get worse. It's going to get worse before it gets better. You know, it's going to get worse before it gets better.
But Rich, check this out. Every month, the Federal Reserve is pumping an additional $80 billion into the markets. 80 billion. Pay attention to the next Federal Reserve Treasury bonds, the auction, because a couple of days after those auctions, all of a sudden, there's this massive uptick in the stock market. It's basically banks are borrowing from the government for next to nothing. And then they go and they buy their own stock, and you know they're going to buy their stock because there was a massive drop. So there's going to be the chances of a bounce. History repeats itself, but will it decline after that? Hell yeah! With this coronavirus, if it gets worse, you're right, Rich.
It's going to get worse. I've been talking about it for 5 weeks, and people still trying to downplay it. We just had the first death in America. And President Trump has to sit there. And I'm sitting here thinking to myself, is he in the back room sitting there going, man, guys, I got to come out here every time somebody dies? You know, and he's got to look brave. And you know what? I'll be honest with you. I personally think it's starting to get to him. Because you can only sit there and lie to 300 million people for so long until it starts to eat you up yourself, right? And he doesn't even look well. Look at him. Just look at him.
I as a kid, as a messenger for my first job, Wall Street, Banca de Roma. It's 100 Wall Street. You can Google it. They were on the 22nd and the 21st floor. They changed names. I was on a delivery. I was coming from Rizzoli bookstore, and I cut across toward Trump Plaza, the tacky building on Fifth Avenue. And I kind of did a football move that you do in the subways, and I turned to the side, and the next thing you know, I'm standing face to face Donald Trump.
What?
I'm looking. I'm telling you, we're nose to nose, dude. I'm looking at Donald Trump. You know what I saw in Donald Trump's eyes? Yo, I'm street rich. I mean, come on, man. Let's get to my fucking voice when I talk. I paint a picture with every word I say. You can tell what I'm all about just simply by the way the tone of my voice is. I saw fear in that man's eyes. Fear. And it was such a disappointment because I had so much regard to the guy. I mean, I'm maybe 18 years old, tough kid, think I can take on the world. And I recognized fear in that man's eyes. And at that moment, I knew that he screwed over somebody. And it's going to come back. It's going to come back to him because he's looking over his shoulder. And when I stood in front of him, he's not a leader. He's not a leader. He is a figure. He's a perfect.
I think he's an entertainer. So I think this is above his pay grade when it comes to actually knowing politics, because you're talking about a global pandemic. So how do you prepare for a global pandemic and prepare an entire nation? And prepare an entire nation for what's coming.
When you hear Donald Trump talk about, and when Donald Trump talks about compassion, like he said, that she was a good lady, you could tell he was talking shit and he didn't feel nothing. Okay, he's a narcissist.
I don't know, man. I think. Listen, you're the president of the United States.
He's incapable.
No, but listen, you're the president. You're the president of the United States. You've got 300 million of the most powerful people as a nation in the world watching you. And you go out there and say, if you're healthy, you're okay. If you're not healthy, it's going to be tough. And that's kind of what he said. And I'm sitting here going, holy smokes, that doesn't sound good.
Listen, I'm surprised he didn't just straight out call us mixed breeds, because in America, that's what we are. We're mixed breeds. They consider us, he's of a different, I'm a New Yorker. Okay, I'm a born and bred Manhattanite. My whole life, South Bronx, Upper Manhattan. That's what I'm all about. Culture, diversity, plays, theater, the arts, museums, governance. I love all of it. History, George Washington, Hamilton. Oh my God, I grew up in the same neighborhood where Aaron Burr lived. The Fink who killed Hamilton. But coming from that environment, you have to understand that there's a society that lives there, and they're called socialites, New York socialites. And in my tenure working at the American Opera Association, I have a very colorful past. 7 years working with them, I had the good fortune of living and dealing with some of the most affluent people on this planet, rich folks, real old money. Okay, we're talking about so much old money that these people are volunteering. They don't even take money. But these socialites, they don't like Trump. Trump is an outsider. He's not. They consider Trump to be new money, and Trump has a chip on his shoulder about that. His children took the brunt force of that growing up in the New York socialite circles because they were never truly accepted. They were always frowned upon. So the egos of the Trumps, look, if you're going to be the president of the United States, the one thing you better have is fucking ego. Because if you're not crazy, why would you go for the presidency? Why would I take a job that I'm guaranteed to lose sleep? I'm guaranteed to look 40 years older than the first day I took office. Just look at the photos.
Yeah, he looks like it's taking its toll on him physically.
Yo, listen.
That's what I think.
That announcement, I'm listening to him. He sounds like he has a malt liquor in his hand and he's downing a malt liquor because he just finished the 8-ball from last night. He sounds like shit.
Because you got to go and stand in front of 300 million people and tell them that everything's going to be okay when you know that that's not the truth. Right? When you know that China probably has maybe 50,000 dead and it's spreading like wildfire in South Korea, China, Italy, Iran, people are dying, and he's got the third largest country in the world as far as population. How's he going to control it? How's he going to protect the people? So at the end of the day,
I'm not being cold.
No. I'm just trying to say, at the end of the day, he is in a very lame duck situation, and he knows it. So he's going into an election year, and he's the president, and he has no way to stop this. Think about it. Just think about it logically. He's got to go stand in front of 300 million people, and he knows that now this is not going to work out well for anybody. So anybody that's in a position of power is kind of in a lame duck situation.
One of the most beautiful things that the Constitution of the United States affords us, bestows upon us, on our birthright, is we have the constitutional right to be complete idiots. And we're going to more than likely vote Donald Trump back in.
I don't know, man. Today was the first time. I always said Trump was going to win. Today was the first time after watching him speak, I had doubt. I was like, you know what?
Wow.
This feels like a shift to me. And I haven't said this before. I never ever thought he was going to lose. But after today, after the way he handled that, because I think the first death in America was a big death in America was a big deal, and it's like a shockwave. It's a shockwave to everybody in America.
Hey, did you see how they were cashing all these movie stars because they were paying money so that way they can put their kids in colleges and stuff like that? Well, check this out. That's how the Electoral College works out in the United States. Okay. If I cast my vote in the Electoral College for the presidency of the United States, because that's truly how the president is voted, because it doesn't matter what that district votes. It's the person who cast the Electoral College vote can go opposite of what the numbers are. It happens every election.
Yeah, I'm not suggesting he's going to lose. I'm not suggesting he's going to lose. I just felt like
he's going to win.
No, listen, I've always thought it was.
Guys got in the Electoral College that they got their kids because of their vote. You know how many of those of their godchildren, their nieces and their nephews, you know how many of them got accepted to colleges or got internships for Donald Trump's vote? That's the real America. The real America is the Electoral College decides whoever the president is. And right now, Bernie Sanders, yo, I like Bernie. Don't get me wrong. Yo, Bernie, yo, I'm going to chill with the dude. Yo, anybody mess with Bernie, I'm going to slap him. I like Bernie. Don't mess with Bernie. You want to come fuck with Trump? Yo, I'm going to step to the side. I'll let you put your boot mark on his fucking neck. I don't care about Trump. Bernie, yo, he's a cool dude. Will I vote for Bernie? Do I think he has a winning chance? Nah, man, this shit is rigged. The game's rigged. It's rigged. It's rigged. He's going to win again. And they're going to do it because they know so long as Trump stays in office, the economy won't fall apart. If the economy falls apart before the election, Trump is out. Do I think the economy is going to fall apart? Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. So, like,
I don't know. No.
I don't know, man. It depends on how bad this gets. America just had its first coronavirus death. There's no way
Yeah,
the
that's
market
kinda
there's no way the market's green on Monday. Correct or incorrect? Does
Hell
everybody here
no,
think the
no,
market's
no,
going to
no,
be
no.
red on Monday? We're going to be red for
Yo,
8
but
days in a row.
gold took a hit, silver took a hit. Listen, guys, if you see, okay, silver can
You're taking a hit.
the lowest I've seen silver is $14.85 an ounce. It's at 16 and change right now. It's a good first time buyer's opportunity. I wouldn't buy a coin. I just, if you're a roller like me, and you know that if I'm going to trade my silver later on, it's got to be a minimum of $1,500. Yo, buy three kilos. Go. You want to be a baller? You say you want to be a drug dealer investing in marijuana? How about be a baller and invest in a couple of kilos? Buy some silver. But if silver reaches 14.85 and you've been thinking of going into, if silver goes closer to 50 and you've been thinking about buying into silver and you just got like an itch inside of you, man, that's like, it's a gift. It's a gift because it's already gone to 19. So let's say you're sitting on 32.15, you're looking at less than 100 kilos, you're looking at $4, and if it jumps up 10%, 15% in a matter of 30 days, we don't get that anymore. We don't. But silver is going to pop. It's going to easily go back up in 1820. It's at 1650 something now. If it goes down to 1485, man, personally, I think that the American dollar is going to be in trouble. I don't think that the supply and demand, consumerism is a big engine. People are expecting their goods. They're not going to be expecting store shelves to be empty. When you see your Kroger, big Chinese in America, Family Dollar, General Dollar, when you begin to see the inventory in these stores get smaller, when the tariffs first started in the United States with China, I was on the road and we pulled over into a Walmart. I had never in my life seen a Walmart completely empty. So if you begin to see
for goods in China, so it's going to happen here too. It's going to happen everywhere.
Well, it'd be nice if Trump did what Taiwan does. And it's going to cost you $3 trillion. Come on now.
They're printing that every day.
Yeah, I mean they're gonna do 80 trillion. They're gonna do $80 billion in a couple of weeks. And remember, when those treasuries come out, okay, they're discounted. People are going to be taking a loss on these treasuries. These are long-term investments. Treasuries right now, if you got cash and you're saying, "Oh shit, I gotta think 5 years from now, 3 years from now, 10 years from now, if the shit hits the fan." And I keep stepping into shit and then the economy falls apart, where will I be financially 10, 15 years from now? And that's what's going to make all the bonds and treasuries very, very attractive because everybody knows America they're going to pay their debt.
I heard that. So check this out. You ready for this? Donald Trump said the Democrats created this coronavirus and it was a hoax. He essentially said the coronavirus is a hoax. Did you hear this?
Fake news. Yeah, listen, man.
Like, what's going on? Like, that's just, when I heard that, I was just like, that's just weird, man. Like, now you're trying to
sell t-shirts. I'm about to sell t-shirts that say, "Not my president."
I just so confused with what he's saying now. I'm like, Trump, like, you're going off the rails here, man, trying to say that the Democrats created this coronavirus thing and it's a hoax. Like, what did I just hear? I was like, it's hard to believe, man. It's like some of the stuff that he's saying.
Well, isn't Bill Gates a big contributor? And doesn't Bill Gates give to schools and he gives computers and he gives the Gates Foundation? They give the huge philanthropists. I mean, they give back. First place, they brought awareness to it. I guess the point being is these are people that kind of side with the Democrats, and if it wasn't for Bill Gates putting up all that money with his wife and to show the actual markets and the exotic animals in the markets as they were being butchered on the floor, filthy. I remember seeing it, and me and my wife were looking at it, and my wife was like, "Oh, it's just SARS, it's another thing." And my wife looks at me and she goes, "We test for coronavirus here in the United States." And I go, "We do?" And she goes, "Yeah, we do." She goes, a patient not too long ago came in and said that they cleared quarantine, that they don't have the coronavirus. So it's more common and prevalent than people think. Oh yeah, my wife is a nurse. Shout out to nurses. Nurses are the best. I love them. And I love mine especially. But this coronavirus can be impactful in the sense that should this continue, it impacts markets, it impacts agriculture. If people aren't out there planting the fields, tending to the fields, and producing massive quantities of food sustenance. So China has a problem right now of not only containing this virus, but also proving to the rest of the world that they can overcome this, and that the world can depend upon their sturdiness and the foundation that, that so-called power nation, they're big egos over there. But the bottom line is, my doggy. The bottom line is, Rich, yes, it will impact the market. Yes, Monday is going to be scary.
We had a scary week. We've had 7 red days in a row. We've had a scary 7 week and a half. We've had a week and a half of red, and now we just had our first death in America. I can't see a market that goes green after the first death in America. I just can't. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it goes way green. Who knows? I just can't see it because of the way it's been responding to the coronavirus news. And now there's still today and tomorrow for more negative news to spread all over the world. And it's clearly spreading all over the world. They've canceled soccer games.
Well, hey, what we can do is, hey, you have an amazing chat room out there. There's a lot of guys out there, 5 Fingers, you got Flora, the Oro, we got infinite possibilities. But we also have Mr. Lou 1990. And I asked Mr. Lou 1990 to look at his crystal ball and tell us what the hell is going to happen on Monday, because it's anybody's call. It's anybody's call. But I will say that there will be an opportunity here, but it's very dangerous. I mean, we're looking at an almost 20% decline. If they reach, listen, you know me, I try and stay on top of these things. And all right, if the market goes under 23,501, that means that it's lost a complete 20%. Right now, having lost more than 26,438 means that we've lost 10%, which means that we cannot go into a correction until after the market surpasses 29,375. Those are kind of like the short rules of things. But if we go under 23,501 in the Dow come Monday, and we're only about 1,600 points away from that, that's very, very easy. That signals a 20% loss. It is very difficult to come back from a 20% loss. And the problem with 20% losses is that they're followed by 40% losses.
Well, let's be honest, okay? This just started. So we know it's only going to get worse, right? So because we know it's only going to get worse, I can't envision a way that it gets better. So this is why the markets are in some serious trouble, in my opinion, because the numbers will only get worse.
But we're here to make money, Rich. We're not savages. We're not savages, but there.
Hey, listen, I'm not saying
there's no capitalism without a victim. But check it out. If the virus does get to that level and it goes into the United States and you hear something like the president issuing an executive order that they're going to put money out, that's the money that's going to pay for the vaccines that they're going to be giving out for free. So what's the name of that company? Find that stock ticker, because that's the one that's going to be the 10-bagger.
Yeah, well, we're watching CODX was pretty much a 5-bagger in February, and we watched IBIO yesterday go bonkers. So there's a lot of coronavirus stocks that have been doing extremely well. This is kind of like the weirdest time as an investor, because nobody could have predicted that in 2020 the hottest stocks are coronavirus stocks.
It's time, but it's timing. I'll tell you, I'm going to give you an example. When I was a kid, I read an article that the New York City public education system was buying all these textbooks from Golden Leaf something golden, sort of like that marijuana company. I bought in at 1.6 cents a bundle. That was a total of 1,000 shares. 1,000 shares, guys. 1,000 shares, 1.6 cents. And I didn't give a lot of money. Dude, that shit ran up. I instantly sold it at like close to 16. That was my first success. You have to know
$16?
$16.
Wow.
And it went up to like $1.60. Yeah, it was amazing. And that was my first introduction. Remember, my first job was in Banco de Roma in Wall Street. I used to hang with the guys, the amphetamine guys, the money traders, which I still don't understand, but I wish I did. But it's just amazing. You really need to pay attention to, if there's a crime, follow the money. So if the virus hits a certain region, find out who the pharmaceutical maker that got the contract from that government, because it's like welfare to the pharmaceutical companies, because the governments just print the money, goes to a pharmaceutical company, and whoever holds the shares, but you have to understand the timing. It's what everybody will be talking about it when the profit's made and it already happened. But it's sort of like, people were bad-mouthing Apple. I remember Apple. People are like, oh, is she stupid? Apple? Oh, it's a dumb company. Apple. Of all things. The argument, who's better, IBM, Apple, or Microsoft? And everybody back in those days was like, IBM's going to rule the world. You just never know. You really never know. I mean, look at the impact of China's commerce on Apple. It's messing with their bottom line. What happens if they're not able to get those microchips out of China? They're going to have to go somewhere. Where are they going to get those microchips? Right now, Taiwan's a little iffy. India will be a contender, but they got racial issues. So you're looking at Singapore. Who are the microchips in Singapore that are going to be getting the contract? It's like I kind of growing up watching gangs and people like real gangs, and you learn how the hierarchy is and the interactions. And then later on, you realize that the whole corporate structure was created by a bunch of guys that were real gangsters. They were Lucky Luciano, the commission. That's corporations. That's structure. They're the ones who made it popular. I mean, when you look at, everybody has their watch list of all their stocks and stuff like that. Who do you think created the watch list concept? It was that guy, Rothstein, whatever, the other guy they whacked. So my point is that it's like gangbangers. Every country is trying to outdo each other. They're going to undermine. They're going to do trade secrets. They're going to do all kinds of espionage business-wise. They're going to sabotage each other's businesses. But you have to understand who the players are. Who you got your henchmen. You got your lieutenants. You got your captains, and you got your generals. And it's same thing with the military. And you can apply that to any market structure, from commodities to, it ended up happening in marijuana. MedMen with the big mouth. MedMen was in everybody's face, blah, 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 acting like the big man, blah, 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 blah. What happens in the end? They have to pull out of all their multi-state deals because they ran out of money. But in the end, they're chilling, because they're chilling in their $4.3 million homes in Calabasas. So when I say follow the money, and you want to know where the money went to the houses, which is cool, because those guys did work for 8 years and they didn't take pay. So, and they are saving lives. But same thing with this coronavirus. Find out who's going to get the contracts to get what vaccination to what region. It's going to be government welfare, and stocks are going to. Kramer's saying the same thing. You hear him? He's like, he's like, well, I don't know what to do. What I think I'm going to do right now is add to my 401k. Smart move. Even he said it. Everything is down.
Time to buy.
Everything's down, guys.
Time to buy. Because all the rich got to put their money somewhere, right? They just keep buying. They got to put their money somewhere.
We're diversified, right, guys? Rich has been talking about it. We're all diversified, so we got a little bit of going on in our real estate. If you're from where I come from, and you're from Washington Heights, dealing out of 172nd Street and Audubon Avenue, you know what I'm saying? You're moving an ounce of cocaine every month, only to your friends. These are economies. These are economies, and you have to really understand the dynamics and how everything and everywhere and how everything fits in. For example, right now, Brazil, coronavirus, okay? People are going to get sick. People are going to lose their jobs. What's going to happen? They're going to go to alcohol and drugs. So you're going to see this virus will guarantee you an uptick in drug use because people are going to lose their jobs. GM just shut down their China operations, and they're saying, oh, what we did was we took 1,600 of our employees there and we integrated them all across America. Basically, they gave them an office without a title without an office somewhere because they got to pay these guys because, GM pulled out of China, like flipped the script and said, we out, and kind of was like, okay. That's not normal.
Look at this, Netflix.
That's what the coronavirus
What do you think about the
That's
fact
the
that Netflix stock is going up?
Makes sense.
People at home, right? They're streaming their Netflix. Crazy.
There's we live in a society of self-gratification, and there's a group of young people who were quarantined somewhere in Russia, and they are using their social media and their cell phones to trend, to become popular. They've got one guy's a model, but they've got all these people who are in quarantine, and they're using their cell phones and they got a guy doing planks, they got another guy doing squats, they got another girl meditating. But like you said, people are going to be in their houses. They're not going to go anywhere. They're going to order out. And you got to be stupid if you're going to order
that's
out.
Why I have Visa. That's why I have Visa and MasterCard as my number one and my number two picks in March, because people are going to be at home and they're going to be using their credit cards to pay for everything. They're going to be spending money on their credit cards to order stuff on Amazon, and then things are going to be shipped to their home. They're going to be able to order their groceries, which will be shipped to their home using their credit cards.
But there's a natural phenomenon that the baby boomers have been experiencing when they retire. They're so used to living a certain lifestyle of X amount of dollars, and don't factor in that this is retirement money you can own, but they still think that they can live on that salary. What's going to happen here with this virus in the end is if it affects the economy, it'll take a while before the people start to realize that it's affecting their pocketbooks. So folks will be getting less haircuts. They'll stop going to restaurants. They're going to start doing, and that really impacts the economy, believe it or not. As soon as you can go into when you can go into the busiest barbershop in your community and it's empty, that's telling you that the economy just went bad. And the first indicator of a bad economy is services decline. People stop flying. People stop eating out in restaurants. They stop going to hotels, and they stop getting haircuts. The craziest thing. But they found out that women still scrape up enough money to get their nails done. People, so if people start losing their jobs or if they have to stay home and they have to eat out and do that kind of thing, it's going to impact them long term. I believe the economy is not heading in a good direction. We don't have quite a good captain steering the ship at the moment. And, to have something like the coronavirus.
I think it's just a lame duck situation. It's like, imagine being a coach of a team and your whole team gets the flu and you're expected to win. You're going to get fired. Team's going to struggle. They're going to lose. You're going to get fired. It's like, what do you do when there's a pandemic sweeping through your nation and it's going to get worse? Like, let me explain to you why I think it's really weird. Okay. Because I've always I'm not pro or against Trump. I'm not even American. Okay. So I don't really care either way, to be honest with you. I just think he's very newsworthy. Okay. So I'd like to talk about him a lot, but he kind of lost me here because he continues to report the wrong numbers. And I'm really confused about it. He reported today 22. He reported today 22 ill. There's 68 in America that are now ill.
He lied on every number.
So why is he doing that though? Because he's blatantly lying to everybody. It's like, we know there's 68. We know there's 68, one dead, and you keep saying there's 22. Like, hello? Like, you're running the country and you're blatantly lying to everybody about the numbers when we know the numbers are 68. That kind of lost me too. And I was just like what's going on here? Like, why not just tell the truth?
In the beginning of February, what I was trying, look, guys, we love numbers. Like, we all agree that we all love numbers. We all like to recognize trends and patterns. This is the pattern I recognized very early on in the beginning of February. China was reporting 100 cases a day, roughly. And with those numbers, if they stay at those numbers for 6 months, we're in trouble. But what they were saying was 100. It was like, if they can keep it to just under 100, if they can keep it to just under 30,000 people affected by the end of February, then we can contain this. It made total sense. But as of a few days ago, the numbers that are coming in are double on top of China's numbers.
Yep.
So the impact that it's going to have, man, dude,
catastrophic. It's going to be catastrophic.
Bad.
We don't see it yet because everything that is being affected, we're still in the first quarter. I remember this started December 1st.
Did you get your flu shot? Have you gotten your flu shot?
Yes.
It starts there.
Yes. This started December 1st. And I started reporting it in January because in December, I didn't really know about it. I wasn't really paying attention to it. It wasn't really big news. So I started reporting it when it had its first death, which was like third week in January. And I started reporting it. So it's been 5 weeks now. We went from 1 death and 300 infected and 1 country to 62 countries, a ship. 2,900 and some odd people now are gone. May they rest in peace. And 86,000 infections in 62 countries. Clearly, this is going to spread everywhere. Clearly, this can't be protected by borders.
The general consensus in the beginning of February with all the World Health Organizations was it can be contained. It can be contained. At these numbers, it can be contained.
Clearly,
the problem is it's tripled. It's damn near tripled.
Clearly, it can't be contained. Clearly, it can't be contained. They decided to fly people from Wuhan into Canada.
We live in a society where people make up stupid things. I mean, look, I lived through many things in New York City. The crack epidemic was happening at the same time as the AIDS epidemic. Okay, Columbia Presbyterian, 168th Street and Broadway, right around the corner from my mom's house. I mean, I grew up across the street from they've made movies. It's the deadliest homeless shelter on the freaking planet, okay? They had a tuberculosis breakout. It never made the news. It was a new strain of tuberculosis. I mean, the homeless problem, look, once it hits the streets, the way like crack did and it exploded, I mean, crack started on 174th Street between St. Nicholas Avenue and I mean, between Wadsworth and St. Nicholas Avenue. They took that on a plane and they went straight to California. Next thing you know, it was in Albuquerque. It was in Seattle. Next thing you know, it was in countries that you can't even pronounce. And what I'm saying is, once this disease hits the streets, it's over. Homeless people. We already go to California. Look at all those people in California living in vans, in expensive neighborhoods. Do they have good health care? What happens when, right now America just got hit with a major, it's freezing. Okay. I mean, I'm in Florida, but 40 degrees is cold for me. But what about up in Toronto? I'm talking about Buffalo. Buffalo, come on, Buffalo's freezing all the time. What happens when the temperature goes from 16 below to 64 degrees? And it happens all the time. What happens? Everybody comes outside. Everybody comes outside and everybody feels good and everybody's interacting. That's impact moment. I mean, they make movies about this stuff. Imagine if it does. If it does get bad, then I feel most bad for Russia because I know they don't got their act together. The indoor plumbing, yeah, they may have the plumbing, but they may not have water coming through, if you know what I'm saying. There's ghettos everywhere on this planet. I mean, you got whole cities in China that are empty. That they removed farmers, built these complexes, and now these farmers are living in the streets because they got nowhere to go. Who knows? Half of these places have probably already got decimated because they don't have hospitals, police. They got 16-lane highways in China that don't get used, dude. I mean, there's a lot of displacement. I mean, we got Mongolia, Vietnam, the currency is not worth much. My uncle's in Vietnam right now. He contacted me from Singapore. I'm like, you know what? We grew up in the mean streets of New York City, and if we didn't get gunned down in the streets, then my uncle's going to be safe in Vietnam with the coronavirus. I'm not worried about him. If God didn't take him in the streets, God is not going to take him somewhere in Vietnam. In my heart, I absolutely know this, but I do feel bad for the regions that don't have sanitation, plumbing, that have infrastructure problems, countries that don't necessarily report the truth. You got communist countries. I mean, you got the whole North-South Korea region, very fragile, very poor. I mean, look at Hong Kong is a hot fucking mess. All right, the Japanese economy hasn't done great, and a bunch of Japanese folk coming off of cruise ships, hey, going on vacation and getting everybody sick. Poor countries with huge ports, Jamaica, Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, countries like Mexico, where healthcare isn't for everyone. We're not used to hearing about countries that there's social injustice and riots and damn near a revolution going on in Chile right now. I bet you somebody there got sick already. Brazil is so. Don't get me wrong. I love the world, but what's going on in Brazil with the filth and the sanitation? I mean, you can walk on their rivers. There's so much garbage, Rich. They don't have the sanitation. They don't have proper defenses. So, to say that people that have compromised immune system and the elderly, it's going to affect newborns. It's going to affect people in the poorest countries. Spain got hit with some cases. Portugal doesn't have their act together either. And Portugal is so spread out that if somebody gets sick in Portugal, you'll probably never hear about it.
Well, I mean, it's happening in Spain, so like Portugal's right there, so it's just a matter of time.
Yeah.
So people are like, there's people making comments here saying, "Oh yeah, Portugal doesn't got it." I'm like, yeah, Canada didn't have it either, and now they have it. I mean, everyone's gonna get it. Let's be honest, everyone's gonna get it. There's Asians everywhere. There's Asians everywhere, and 5 million Asians left. 5 million Asians left.
We got everything under control. Blah blah blah. Come Saturday morning, we're finding out she was a nice lady. God rest her soul. My condolences to her family. This must be hardship for her children, her husband, her wife. I don't know anything about it, but Trump discounted her, and it costed her life today. It discounted her, and she's dead now. I'm not saying that it's Trump's fault. What I'm saying is Trump goes around and said, "Oh, I'm going to put Pence in charge of the coronavirus." Yo, Pence don't care about nobody, dude. Where do you see Pence? What does Pence support? What's Pence all about? He's the quietest vice president. It's not even funny. It's not even. You want to know who Mike Pence has a radio station. His supporters are evangelical religious fanatics, nut jobs. The nut jobs. The ones that are talking about doomsday. The ones that talk about repent. That the ones that want to send gay people to a commune to turn them straight. That's Mike Pence. I'm not lying. Google it. You lazy asses.
I'm not. You know American politics better than me. That's why I'm talking to you, bro.
If I was a chick, I'd do him. No, seriously. I think he's a good-looking guy. I think he's relatable. I do think he's relatable, and that goes far. As far as his policy, you Canadians bug me out because you guys are on a different sphere. You guys, after the War of 1812, you guys took life on a different route, and America just went cold psycho. We just went cold psycho. The Indian Wars where they were savagely killing people. That shit's going on in Chicago right now. How many people are going to die in Chicago tonight?
Oh yeah,
America's a very violent place. We're talking about coronavirus, and okay. I care about things that affect my money. Coronavirus affects my money. Okay. I saw a $255 decrease in palladium in one day. $255 an ounce decline out of nowhere.
Big.
I mean, that's gold dropped. Everything dropped. Nothing makes sense, guys. Nothing makes sense. There's a rule in this country that when the shit hits the fan, the rich will bail you out. All right. J.P. Morgan is not just a bank. He was a person. He bailed out America during the Great Depression. Okay. He bailed us out. If it wasn't for J.P. Morgan, we'd be speaking Russian. It's going to happen again. When the federal government comes out and says, hey, listen, man, I'm going to give you this piece of paper. Okay. And you're going to hold this piece of paper for 10 years. You good with that? Sure. Oh, how about 20 years? Okay. How about 30? 30? You got 32? What they do is this. They hold your money. The rich do this when the economy gets bad. They'll go to banks like Bank of Mellon, New York, and they'll say, okay, Bank of Mellon, I've got a trust I need to protect. I got this income coming in. Ultimately, we're looking at millions. These people we're talking about, you got to be like $250,000 deep in order to play like this. Okay. What they do is they'll give the bank the money and they'll say, hold it for me. And the bank holds the money. They vault it for them and they charge them a monthly fee. It's the same thing with metals. You buy metals, they charge you a monthly fee. But basically 10, 20, 30 years from now, when the economy does do better, whoever's in the family, because they're thinking 3 generations ahead, gets the money. So you figure what's interest on $250 million in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. So when the federal government tells you that they want to issue out these bonds at 0% interest, they're basically telling the rich, we're fucked. We need money, guys. Get ready. Get ready. Because the only people that are going to be buying these bonds are people who are going to want to protect the dollar, because if the dollar decreases, their wealth decreases. So the best way to preserve your wealth is to actually preserve the physical greenback. And that's held by major institutions doing major pullbacks. The federal government does it too. Everybody knows the feds pay back. So if you buy a treasury from them, that's 10 years, but you have to pay 3% interest for them to hold your money. It's not a profit. You're not making money, but you're guaranteed when at the end of that, even if you pay a penalty on it, you're guaranteed that you got shitloads of cash. And that's where we are in the investment sector. People are going to start looking for what is commonly known as safe havens. Some safe havens are physical metals. Other safe havens are the dollar, the greenback. They go for the dollar. And once they have these massive amounts of dollars, they can't keep it in their living room. They can't walk around. You walk around with $250 million. You have to give it to a financial institution. And you know that this financial institution, everything is backed by the federal government. Your money is safe. So where we're heading now is the federal government is issuing out these treasuries, basically saying, hey, man, lend us some money, but we're not going to pay you interest, but we're going to take a couple of pennies off the dollar when we pay you back. That's not good, guys. That's terrible. That's basically saying that the federal government's running out of money and that it needs a handout. And that's where we are now. So when you're looking at a 4,000 point decrease in a matter of 8 days, if we see another 1,400 point decline, we reach 20%, which actually raises the chances of us losing another 40%. And how do I know this, guys? Guys, I'm that kid that sat down in front of a TV and watched PBS every day of my life. I love PBS. I'm a geek. I love this stuff. I love world politics. I love, the interaction with, governments. What people don't realize, China offended Russia about 6 months ago. They offended the shit out of China. They turned China into a beggar by flooding Russia with cheap Chinese-made goods. What you do is now the Russians are dependent upon these products, and Russian money is actually leaving Russia and going to China. And if there's less Russian currency in the country, then people are living under with less money in circulation, which means people are getting poorer. All this money is being funneled out to China. They offended China, and Russia knows it. And don't expect Russia to economically be siding with China in any near future. What they did was offensive. It's
well, they also closed their borders to China.
They have to,
right? So I mean, this is kind of a, like it's like us, it's us or you type of attitude, right? And it's kind of, it's a scary situation, but it's a reality of where we're at. I mean, I think in some ways people might say it's cutthroat, but in other ways it's really intelligent. I don't agree with the fact that Trudeau's been flying people in here from the epicenter of the outbreak.
I admire the gentleman. His name is Ed Maleski, and he would bring up this book called *Sapiens: Survival of the Fittest*. Survival of the Fittest. Survival. I mean, you're gonna sit around here and talk about rights and how it's not fair, and then get the fuck off the market. Get out. Get out of here. Stop being a bitch. Go fucking run for office. Okay? This is not about being right or wrong. What this is about is navigation. All it is. Aristotle, greatest philosopher to ever live, funded wars from his pocketbook. He saved economies. No one has amassed as much wealth as Aristotle. Not even John Astor. And John Astor was a heroin dealer. The heroin trade, first China to the United States. Yo, dude, John Astor was at one point the richest man in our hemisphere. I mean, John Astor. I mean, if you don't know who he is, Google him. But the guy was a heroin trader. He was a heroin trader. He was picking up furs from Canada, the United States, and trading them in Turkey and in China. And if you don't understand how this correlates with investing, listen, guys, I just said John Astor, richest man in of his region. He was a heroin dealer. So yes, he was doing something wrong, but at the time it was not morally wrong. So what we perceive to be morally wrong today, what will the perception be 100 years from now? So stand on your high horse all you want, because there's money to be made, and I ain't got time for that. But the bottom line is understanding. After heroin, bad, but he made a shitload of money. Furs, he pushed fashion in China and in Turkey. Okay, the wealth, philanthropists bought land, left parks all over the United States. Okay, Central Park. Who do you think gave us Central Park in New York? The dude was like, New York City needs a park. Nah, they need a big park. He was like, you know what? Give them from 116th Street, Columbus to 111th and 5th Avenue, and take it all the way down to 59th and 5th. And you know what? Fuck it, man. Take it all as far as you can, and we'll just call that whole avenue. I don't know, man. South Central Park End or something. Dude, Central Park is huge. It was given to us by a heroin dealer. A fucking heroin dealer, dude.
Let me sorry, Reefer. Reefer, hold on one second. So we've been live for over an hour, so we're gonna have to go soon, but we just have another breaking news. Risk of global coronavirus spread very high, warns the World Health Organization as China's situation stabilizes. So it's kind of funny. I mean, isn't already spread isn't it already globally spread 62 countries? So are they telling us something we don't already know?
Okay.
What's going on with this?
Okay. Listen to the years. In 1978, my brother went to a funeral for his math teacher. My brother attended the most prestigious school in the United States. Upon graduating from high school, my brother's school was already 275 years old. It's called Trinity. It's the oldest school in the country. Okay. Look, man. I'm a New Yorker, man. I'm involved. I love history. I love my country. I love the world, basically. But my brother in '78 had to go to a funeral for his math teacher. Okay, his math teacher was a gay man, and his math teacher died from some strange, new, mysterious disease that only affects gay men. AIDS. 1978.
HIV.
1978.
Yeah.
No, LIV1, LIV2, that's Europe. HIV1, HIV2 is the United States, and that new strain HIV, LIV1, 2, that is mixed up with that crystal meth. Ooh, they got some dangerous stuff going on in this world. But the bottom line is 1978 AIDS. We didn't see the ramifications of that until much later. And to this day, we are still seeing the ramifications of it. We are going to see an impact on global commerce. The reason why our shelves are full right now is because as this 30-day thing was going on, they quarantined the ships out at sea to make sure nobody was sick. All those goods are about to hit ports all across the world. So it's business as usual, folks. You're going to see goods in you. But were the goods manufactured while the country was shut down? And what about the next shipment of goods? And will somebody on the next ship have corona? It's going to be interesting. Pay attention to the shelves. And don't forget, Rich TV says, listen to Donald Trump and wash your hands.
All right, my friend. Thank you so much for joining. One death in America, a lady from Washington. She was what they consider high risk. Some reports are saying that she had some heart troubles. So maybe that made her high risk in her late 50s. May she rest in peace. May everybody that has passed from this rest in peace all over the world. We are having outbreaks in Iran, South Korea, Italy, China, obviously. So hopefully we can find a vaccine and a cure, and we can get past this sooner rather than later. Everybody stay safe. Tell your friends and family how much you love them. Reefer, stay safe, brother. Hope you and your family stay safe and have yourself a great weekend. And let's pray for a green day on Monday. But I really believe we've had 7 red days in a row. And I'm going to make a prediction that Monday will be red as well with the first death in America. And we still have all of today and all of tomorrow for more bad news to circulate. Unless they find some coronavirus cure, I just don't see how the market is green on Monday. But I hope I'm wrong.
I say a 500 point dip in the beginning, and there will be aid and support coming in, and we'll go sideways until the next federal stimulus package, where we'll see a slight bump. Good night, guys. God bless everybody, and rest in peace all those affected by this freaking horrible freaking flu.
Okay,
night,
buddy.
guys.
Cheers.
I'm sorry.
That's Reefer Al Joint, one of the Rich TV Live Richaholic members. Awesome guy from New York. And just telling it like it is. Remember, Rich TV Live is strictly for education, entertainment purposes, guys. We just want to give you guys a talk about the biggest trending news of the day, get a chance to hear your opinions, get a chance to hear your feedback. I have been reading your messages. I love you guys' feedback. I love you guys' messages. Reefer Al Joint's just a very entertaining guy, and he's very opinionated, and I think it's good to get his opinion. I feel saddened by this. I did predict we'd be in 100 countries. We're now in 62. I did predict this would be a global pandemic. It is. And I did predict that there would be deaths in Canada and the United States. We now have the first death in America. Mark it on your calendar. It won't be the last, unfortunately, I don't think. And I hope it is, but I doubt it. And we don't have any in Canada yet. Let's knock on wood. But as long as we continue to fly people here from the epicenter, I don't feel too confident. So stay safe. Tell your friends and family and your loved ones how much you love them. Spend time. Don't have any regrets. Do everything that you have on your bucket list, because tomorrow's not guaranteed to anybody. This is your boy Rich from Rich to Be Live, your late night vampire. I'll probably be back a little bit later, actually, because everyone's been asking me about Bitcoin, and I have a Bitcoin expert that wants to do a video here pretty soon from Australia. So stay tuned, guys. Your boy Rich from Rich to Be Live, and I'm out. Peace. Stay safe, guys. Stay safe.